Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. In today's video I'll take care of one of the most vulnerable parts of the BMW 1200GS Adventure, which is the cylinder heads over here. As I said in my previous video, this is one of my main concerns when riding this bike off-road. The factory crash bars are pretty sturdy, however there is a failure point. When you drop the bike, these factory crash bars bend inwards, pressing against the cylinder heads. It's not such a big deal on flat surfaces, but off-road there's a chance that the crash bars will press against the cylinder heads. Any rocks or something similar may hit the cylinder. Reinforcing the factory crash bars is a must. So I installed the Touratech crash bar reinforcements and the Ricochet off-road cylinder head protection for the BMW 1200GS Adventure. Now let's unpack the parts and proceed with the installation. Okay, so this is what comes into the accessory bag with a Touratech reinforcement kit. I'll break them down one by one. So for starters, we have spacers, 2mm and 4mm spacers, 2 each, that you can use to push the crash bars further from the cylinder head or closer to the cylinder head, depending on how you wish. We got 2 brackets to attach the steel bars to the factory crash bars. We got 4 O-rings that we will use on the plastic spacers. We got adhesive film to put between the Touratech reinforcement and the factory crash bars. Lock nuts. 2 lock nuts. 2 washers. 2 caps, screw caps. 2 double D washers. 2 screws, 4mm Allen. And 4 large screws. There's 250mm and 255mm depending on which spacer you will use. This is grooved so you can fit the O-rings in, and this is where the double D washer and the lock nuts come in. We'll use a little bit of engine oil to lubricate the O-rings. The first thing I'll do, I'll put the Touratech crash bar reinforcement, and then in the same time I'll try to put the Ricochet off-road plates that come on top of the crash bars. So let me start with the Touratech crash bars. So if you saw the unpacking, I'm pretty sure you kind of figured out how this works. There's 2 types of screws. There's a 50 and the 55 millimeter M8. So I intend to use some spacers, and I will use the large one, which is a 4 millimeter. So I push the crash bar as far out as possible. So you take this part, right? You put the washer and the screw, the 55 millimeter, I'm going to use it, and then the spacer on top of it, and then you put this part in. Take this funny shaped washer, you put it into this nut, you put it in. There's only one position. You kind of hold it in your hand like this, and then you rotate this one. It kind of screws in. Just leave it loose for a second. Don't over tighten it. You need to have a little bit of play here. Take the rubber O-rings and slide it over the plastic part, and then take the next rubber O-ring, the second one, slide it over to the second groove, like so. Apply a little bit of lube on top of the O-rings so it slides easily into the frame. Doesn't need too much, just needs a little bit. But make sure it covers everything. And then slide it into the frame. Alright, easy. Next we're going to look at how the Ricochet plate comes in. Left and right are different sizes, so you have to make sure that you have the right size, the right side in your hand. The larger one is on the right, and kind of eyeball it where it should be. Now check where the plate makes contact with the crash bars, because you're going to have to apply this thing, which is a double sided adhesive tape. This does not secure anything in place. It just provides a cushion between the crash bar and the plate, so there's no rattling sound. So I'm gonna cover the top, the side, a little bit of the bottom, and that's it. So kind of I'm pretty sure it won't stay in place. Okay, that's the top. Alright. Now let's get the plate in. Now there's 3 of these things provided by Ricochet. There's 2 1mm and there's 1 7/8. The 7/8 millimeter, the 7/8 inch one comes to the front because this is thinner. The other one is 1 inch. So there's 1 on the top, 1 in the front, and 1 here in the rear. There will be a conflict, I'm pretty sure, between the Touratech bar and the bracket for the plate, but we'll see about this in a minute. Now I'm going to put the top one, which is a 1mm, put it from the bottom, then break the plate up, put 1 screw in on the top. Now what I found really funny is that these things don't screw in easily. Screw it in just enough to sit there. This one will come here. That's the theory. So the Touratech needs to come way up. Now Touratech is providing this adhesive parts. that you put here where the Touratech bar makes contact with the crush bars. I'm gonna have to loosen factory crush bars, 3 to 4 millimeters, just to be able to put in the Touratech crush bar. Doesn't need to be much, just a few millimeters, so this one slides in nicely. All right, install the Touratech brackets. But for this, we're going to need to take off the protection plate. So the Touratech comes with the logo on the outside. Slide it like so. Come on. And press it as much as possible by hand. And then use the zip tie to bring it closer. Take the small screw, put the washer in, thread it through, and then there's this funny shape nut. Put it on the other side. Now take the 3 millimeter Allen key and bring it close. Cut the zip tie. Pull the bar up. Okay. And tighten this. Take a little bit of a thread locker and cover this. A small little black nut cover. So again, 1 millimeter. It's marked 1. And come with the plate up and screw this in. Close enough. Pretty happy. Okay. Now what I think is happening here, when they welded the nut to this bracket, I think it kind of deformed a little bit, and now the screws are having a hard time driving through, but we'll see. And now the 7/8 on the front side. Line up the holes and drive this. So when I first started looking for solutions to reinforce the factory crash bar and protect the cylinder heads, I was concerned about the distance between the Touratech reinforcement and my shin. But as you can see, there's plenty of room when I sit on the bike, and when I stand on the bike, it doesn't bother me at all. There's a lot of space. Even when you brake, you still have about 3 inches, 2 inches between your leg and the reinforcement. However, you should ride with shin protection to make sure you don't hit your leg into the Touratech reinforcement and you don't break it. Rule number 1, wear protection. Rule number 2, don't crash. Alright guys, thank you for joining me today for this quick installation of the Touratech crash bar reinforcement and the Ricochet for cylinder head protection for the BMW 1200GS Adventure. This is all for today. See you next time.